Hello. It's me. It's at the O-double-G. And yes, I did nearly choke on the way in then. I very nearly didn't make the intro. But we are here. And young man, there's no need to feel down. I said, young man, pick yourself off the ground. I said, young man, because you're in a new town and there's no need to be unhappy. And it is this evening with this wonderful team that I have with me. Starting off with the rocking the old knitwear as myself. This is I like to call this my Starsky and Hutch look. But Sam, how are you this evening, Sam?
Hello, I'm doing all right. It's been a rough few days, but I've got my knitwear on to keep warm because I've had some house issues this week. It sucks owning a house. That's all I've got to say there. But yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. Happy to be here, of course.
I know, and and it must have been a United victory this week because there is not one but two United fans here this evening. Young Grimace, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for calling me young. I appreciate that. I like how you're saying you've got a Starsky and Hutch look, though, when you've got a bit more of an OAP in the retirement home look going on at the minute with the grey beard and the knitwear. Do you know I think Sam pulls it off a little bit better, but you're still looking good, Josh, to be fair.
The thing is, he's more handsome than me, Sam, so that's not a fair comparison. So, but we were saying just before we come on, Sam and I was comparing beards, saying, yeah, should have trimmed. I have got a bit of winter plumage coming, bit of the old grey, the old salt and pepper coming through, because I'm a wise man. But we've got in the chat already, Cap Alid, evening all and town away. I like it. And we spending fan Chris. Good evening, Christopherson. Hope you're doing well. And Graham calling us wonderful people, which I think is lovely. And Charlotto, I hope you're feeling better soon, Charlotte. She's still being beaten up by the old bronchitis.
Who's that one?
You're on there.
There you are. And
he's not calling you a mug. He's just pointing at a mug.
He's not quite got the Rebecca pointing game down yet, have you?
No, she's a different class. She is, to be fair. She's the Super League that doesn't exist of the pointing game, to be fair.
Yeah, except the only pointing I ever did when I was a younger man was like pointing people to the beach, which is that way. But speaking of the pointed queen, there she is. She had a great weekend. Not only did Accrington win, so did Everton, so did Dundee, and they even started Ryan Astley. Let's hope they're never going to let him down. Anyway, as I said, football happened. And Manchester United won a game of football and didn't make it necessarily easy for themselves, but victory nonetheless. Who wants to start us? Who wants to start us off telling us how that game made you feel? I'll let you both fight it out.
I'll courteously let Grimmy come in and come and tell us, because I can't deny that smile on his face. I have to let him come in.
Well, I mean, in terms of that game, I must admit, I wasn't watching it live. I was out and about, and I saw the notification for like the stoppage, not injury time, first half injury time goal to Brentford, and I just went, put my foot away, and it's another weekend being a United fan at the minute. That's fair enough. And then I got another buzz shortly after. I was like, God, Nacho scored straight after half time. I was like, what a time to be alive. And then, yeah, it was a great feeling. Nice to actually win a game of football for once. This must be what it must be like to be like, a good team at some point. So, yeah. But watching it back, I think it was a good reaction from halftime. I think their anger was probably misplaced because I don't think the referee made the wrong call. But they've obviously channeled that anger in the right way and put in a good second half performance. And hey, presto, we got to win.
Yeah, indeed. And before we touch on Charlotte, admiring the beard game. Be a game is strong this unit. It is.
I need to go up a bit more here, I think, if I'm going to get to your guys' level. But
yeah, I tell you, Charlotte and Claire, you guys have got some work to do to match this sort of beard game. But you're just better than us, though. So I can take that. But Sam, how did that game make you feel? A United victory. It was 2-1, incidentally, against Brentford, because I didn't say that earlier.
It was 2-1. Nice to win a game of football, as Grimmy says. No, it's been the international break was, I hate international breaks, but it was kind of relieving at the same time. It's just nice to kind of step away from what has been an absolute circus of chaos on a flipping weekly basis at the minute. So nice to just have a minute and then come back in. And like Grimmy, so I was about and I could see, and I was like, oh, we've gone 1-0 down. What's happened here? And then you read the whole De Ligt's off of the head and you think, for God's sake, just for once, can we not have? To be honest, I was more nervous in the first 5 minutes, I think, because of Brentford's crazy record of scoring in the first couple of minutes of every game. I was convinced all week, absolutely convinced. I was ready for being frustrated as hell that we'd had 2 weeks to prepare for it, but we got through the first couple of minutes. And then the first half, from what I saw back, wasn't great. Again, a bit sort of bitty. But the second half, as Grimmy said, they channeled, I think, the anger well. I mean, as there's nothing wrong with kind of the fact that they had to make De Ligt go off. That's the rules with the blood in his head. But I think it was more kind of a frustration because it was like De Ligt when he smashed the water bottle. So it was all United fans going, "Oh, for crying out loud! Of course they have. They've scored from a corner." While our centre back stood there having his head attended to for the third time. So there's some questions of the medical staff I think need to have a look at more than anything else. But they channeled it, and in the second half, scored some good goals, some really good goals, I thought, and some good combinations. It was nice. Rashford playing on the right-hand side, inside, putting that cross into Garnacho, really nice goal. And I thought Bruno's touch and Højlund's finish, very good as well, because our attacking has been, let's be honest, a bit poo so far this season. You only have to look at the goals for column, and there's not very many of them. But this seemed to be a bit like what last season's was when we scored, there'd be some really good goals. You know, we don't tend to score with the rhythmic cross across the ball, cross across the box, tap-in jobs. But what I liked was these were both team goals. Wasn't one bloke smashing it in from 25 yards. It was a great Rashford cross to a brilliant Garnacho run. It was a Bruno touch off to Højlund. So it was nice. But, you know, we're not letting anything run away with us because, you know, we're still in the quagmire and it is just one win against a Brentford side that have been pretty poor on the road despite having a decent start to the season. So it gives Ten Hag a little bit of respite. But, hey, we're going to Jose and Fenerbahce on Thursday. What could go wrong there?
It's a lovely place to go. You'll thoroughly enjoy that one. And incidentally, Charlotte saying Tash is getting it. Not quite a beard though. Get some sideburns going on. That could be quite a jazzy look, I think. But I've not seen it. I think she's fooling us all. There's no Tash there. But you're saying, Sam, there's still no Daily United win together.
No.
You can only have one.
That's when the apocalypse happens, I think, when Charlotte.
So that's the beginning of the end of the world when they both coincide, isn't it?
And a special one for my Mr. Luke Ulrich. I just popping in to say hello there. Hope everything gets sorted up by the Spartans from your local rivals, Gateshead, Grimmy. And I hope we all have a good show. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice?
Appreciate you, Luke.
He could have been an asshole, but no, he's a good man.
I was when I saw the Speddy fan, I was like, "Oh, here we go. We might be in trouble." But
I mean, what you touched on it, they were more sort of team goals, and what I sort of picked up on a little bit is Rashford's been doing all right recently, isn't he? I'm not sure. I never know who to go to because you're both United fans. I'm sure you both got views on it, so I'll ask you both separately. Seeing as Sam answered the last one, Grimmy. Rashford, is he doing a little bit better for you now?
I mean, in comparison to like the back end of like the second half of last year or like the past season, I would say absolutely. If you just watch his play by play, he's actually running at defenders and taking them on a little bit more now. He's making passes at the right time. He's not just going for everything himself, trying to get a goal for himself. He's like making decisions at the right time. Defensively, still questions to be asked. I think there could be a bit more urgency there, though I would say yesterday was better. But I think overall, yeah, you can see there's a bit more, I wouldn't say confidence, I would say more urgency in his play, and he's going for things a little bit more. And again, when Rashford's willing to go at people, that's when he's most dangerous, really.
Yeah, he's been playing a little bit, as you said, as a team player. And Sam Garnacho, he had a nice game, didn't he?
He was very sparky, yeah. Garnacho's been, I think, has had an okay start to the season. It's not been sensational, but he's playing on that left-hand side because they've moved Rashford to the right, and it seemed to benefit the both of them. Rashford in the past tends to, I've never really liked him on the right. He gets stuck down there, but I think he was kind of playing slightly inside, and it did work really nicely and gave Garnacho that space. And what I liked was Garnacho was super positive. Question I've always kind of had a little bit with Garnacho is the decision making, and he made so many better decisions at the weekend. There's some quality talent in there. He's really quick. He's cut inside. He does have a great strike on him as well, and his movement I think is excellent. But it's the decision making, and that's what we want to need to see more of, more consistency, because he can get amongst the goals, both the goals and sort of the assists, and he's probably been our best attacking threat, I think, Grimmy, over the last 18 months or so, consistently, Garnacho. You know, there's been moments Højlund went on a kind of a run or whatever, but Garnacho's been kind of the one that has probably put in more consistency, but he gets in the areas, it's just making the right decisions. And he tracks back and works hard. And I have seen that from Rashford the last couple of games a little bit more as well, because he was coming under some criticism for that too.
Yeah. Because I'm getting distracted by some of the chat there. I'm looking at the team. I mean, you both agreed on the De Ligt thing, more or less the same, that he probably should be off because he's bleeding, and them's the rules. So you've just blown a whole discussion point over that now. Thanks a lot.
Well, I think Ten Hag and the bench were arguing that it was dry blood, and I think there's like a bit of a grey area as to if it's dry blood or if the blood's pouring out of his head.
Blood.
But but again, there's clearly a massive patch of blood on his head and it's dripping onto him. So I don't really see why there was such contention over it. But again, it lit the fuse that sparked the comeback. So I'm not exactly complaining.
Well, I mean, like you said, Sam, maybe the medical team should take a look at themselves. Maybe they should be corduroys in these wounds on the side of the pitch.
I can't remember. I was watching, I think it was Match of the Day 2 or something, and one of them said maybe they need to look at the medical team. I was like, the medical team can patch him up as much as they can on the side of a football pitch. Like, if he keeps bleeding, they're just going to try and treat it more and more. All they can do is slap like a massive cast on his head, and then maybe that might work. I don't know what more they could have done, really.
Well, do you know what? I was watching The Punisher on Disney recently, and when he gets cut and he's bleeding, he's just got a bit of metal, heats it up, done. No more. I
don't think they have metal heated objects in their medical bags, unfortunately, at the side of Old Trafford. Maybe not
at Old Trafford, with that leaking roof. You don't want any electrics near there. I'm telling you. So.
There was a plumber's lamp and a bit of metal bar. Shag on, lad, we'll be ready for you. I'm all down for that. I think that'd be amazing to see on the side of the pitch. Surely everybody'd enjoy that. But just as a sidebar, Spenny fan Chris wishing Blythe all the best. Don't want to see any club go through their trouble. Cap Allen would also like to wish Blythe all the best. A great friendly club, which is lovely. And Russ here, good evening, Russ. And Spenny fan saying, just do the butcher thing and wrap a bandage around his head. Why wasn't there a bandage if he was bleeding?
Because it probably wasn't. Because I think when people generally get the bandage wrapped around them, it's a massive cut. And by the look of De Ligt, they had like a tiny patch on his head that he had cut. It just was bleeding quite a lot. It happened to be so. I
think it's usually, isn't it, like when it's more like forehead areas, when it was kind of like central, she'd have to like mummify him to send him back out.
It'd help him with a header, wouldn't it? You know.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that killed that whole debate. But we managed to get a good couple of minutes out of that one. But I mean, in regards to your squad, I'm sort of looking at it. That's not far off what I would probably say you'd want to have as your best 11. They're probably about a player difference. I don't know. Maybe you want Johnny Evans as your starting centre back.
I mean, the way he's playing at the minute, I'm not complaining. Like,
don't deny it.
Yeah, I'm not sort of knocking that, but I'd probably say you're only about 1 or 2 players away from your starting 11. Based purely on the second half performance, would you be happy if that's the case, or do you think there's still 1 or 2 gaps that need to be remedied?
I think for me, the midfield's still you'd bring Mainu into that for sure.
Yeah.
I think there's games where Casemiro and Eriksen is not going to work at all, sat there, and it is that, they give you some good things. Eriksen on the ball so far this season has been absolutely fantastic, and I've never questioned him on the ball. I think he's as good a technical player as you can have. The worry is having him and Casemiro off the ball. But Casemiro seemed to be this weekend picking up better positions and managing that a bit better. Casemiro's still got some incredible qualities about his game, as much as he gets ridiculed a bit for maybe some of the other aspects that are starting to drop off. He still can control a game in certain ways. I just think you're going to need a different midfield. I agree with Højlund up front helps those other attackers as well, because he plays as a number 9. He presses
gives
better.
you a shape, doesn't he?
Yeah, and Xerxes still looks a little bit lost. He's a very different type of player, and he brings everything kind of back. So I liked that. Johnny Evans will go on forever. Like, yeah, happy whenever to have Johnny. But he also played Lissandro Martinez at left back, which was I think gave a different to have that left-footed outside on the left-hand side. Bit different.
He did it for Ajax a bunch of times, and it worked quite well. I'm surprised he hadn't done it beforehand, but again, we weren't missing Mazraoui early this season, so.
And that may make the question, because I know there was questions asked early in the season, why didn't United buy a left back? And maybe that's the thinking, is the fact that, okay, well, Luke Shaw is still hit and miss on the injuries, but if we've got Luke Shaw, Malacia maybe one day, if Martinez is the third option, because when Euro comes in, maybe he wants to play Euro and De Ligt, and then he's got Maguire and Evans, or Martinez can come back in. So a bit more versatility, maybe. Maybe that's why they haven't gone for a left back, but who knows?
Well, I think it might be that. I think that might be part of the reasoning, but I also think they thought Shaw was going to be back a lot sooner. I mean, personally, for me, for Shaw and Malacia, it's a bit harsh on Malacia maybe because he's had one long injury, but for me, I'd probably sell him at the end of the season. I know he's like a brilliant left back, but we could get other left backs in, and they'd be there.
Is this Malacia?
No, Shaw. I'm talking about Shaw. I'm on the train of I think he's a brilliant player when he's 100% fit, but he's not 100% fit for more than 50% of the season. So it's like, if we're missing him for half the season, why are we keeping him?
Home-based player count.
I know it. Well, but we have a lot of players like that now. Like, we do have a lot of youngsters, obviously, who've come through, and we've got a lot of like younger talent in there. So it's kind of like, I get wanting to have him for that reason, but at a certain point, if we're not using him, we need to. Well, that's where the bandages are, Graham. Well said. They're all on Luke Shaw's ankles and legs. But for me personally, I think we could go get a left back. He's obviously not going to be as good as Luke Shaw, but he'll be more consistent in the fact that he'll actually be in the team.
I almost think Luke Shaw really, and it sounds harsh, I'd almost be considering retirement at this stage, because he can't sustain a run of matches back to back. He just doesn't see. He says a handful, like, and it's literally like a handful, 3 or 4, and then he's out again. It's almost like his body just can't cope, but he's just breaking down because he hasn't been able to maintain a fitness level and been able to maintain a good physical a physical setup because of his injuries all the time. And maybe he's feeling the consequence of that now, because he must be like at least approaching 30,
29, 28 maybe.
Yeah, I think they'll keep him at least. I don't know when his contract's up, but I would imagine until that point, because I just think he's a player that when he comes, you're going to have to manage him. He's not going to be able to play game, because that's when you're going to get the injury breakdown again. But and he always takes a bit of time, doesn't he, to come back from an injury, or for those first couple of games is a bit. But when you do then start to see him, what he gives you has been is something we haven't had. We haven't got somebody else. And while we can say, let's go and buy a left back, our current recruitment has not been something that fills me with confidence to just say, go and get a better one of that, because we haven't been very good at doing that. I think you've got to potentially look at a left back understudy that's coming through while you maintain a Shaw, a Martinez, and say, look, this is the guy. Because I don't think you're going to go out and get a ready-made. There isn't, to be honest, world football, many ready-made top quality left backs you can go and get, unless Grimmy knows one through his Football Manager.
I'm not saying he's
scouting
top
database.
I'm not saying he's top quality, but we can get Alvaro Fernandez back from Benfica on a very cheap buyback. He's like, I think it's like 26 million buyout clause for anybody else, but for us it's like 13 million. And I'm kind of like,
that's probably a couple of seasons away though. If they've sold him, they're not going to buy him back next summer.
I think it's like one season and he can come back. But I mean, if he's played well at Benfica for what we know, from what I've heard and seen anyway, and he was already in the academy, I don't know why we let him go, to be honest. I think
the other one isn't it Harry Amass? Is it Harry Amass?
Harry Amass. Yeah, he's like 17, so he's probably a little bit too soon to come in, but I think probably in a season or two. I mean, you'll probably end up with the way injuries are. You'll probably get run out at some point this season. But like Manu, you want to make sure he's coming in at the right point and not getting overloaded, because now Manu's been injured from playing every single game all the time. So, yeah. But
That's from Ten Hags. Like someone's playing well. Oh my god, I can't drop them because I'll be slaughtered. A stage. And Graham saying in the chat they'll have to sell Luke Shaw to medical silence. Huge transfer in January. I don't think medical silence have got the funds for him. And apparently at half time in Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace is 0-0. I think Sam's got wood for this game.
Yes,
I have. He almost
Not
scored.
just Sam.
He almost scored on half-time whistle. Almost got a toe at the
Chris
end.
Wood is hopefully going to be my week's saviour. So,
but wasn't enough wood on that one, unfortunately, Josh, to get it over the line. But maybe next time. Keep plugging away, Chrissy boy.
I like this one. Harry Amas is good, but his brother Chris is better. Chris Amas.
oh, Graham.
I like that one. Tickled me that.
That's the problem. It tickles you, so it's clearly not of a good standard.
Don't take a lot to tickle me. But I mean, on the whole, though, of that game, in fairness, I don't think. Do you know sometimes you have a team wins and this because the one team was bad, the other team was good. I don't actually think this was the case. I think legitimately Brentford were good. And I just think in the second half you were better. So well done. Praise from me, Man United. See,
Praise the Lord.
I'm not biased. Straight
Got
down
nothing
the line.
to do with the fact that there's 2 United fans against 1 Liverpool fan here, but never mind.
Hey, do you know what? If I wanted to give you shit, don't you worry about it, my friend.
I was sure of that one, Josh.
And I love Graham putting himself down, known for his crap one-line. No such thing as a crap one-liner. Not at all. They're all classics, and we love them all. We had in the chat earlier. I'm pretty sure it was Cap Alid who was going to be intrigued by the thoughts of City Wolves incident and Liverpool Chelsea. We will touch on the Liverpool Chelsea game in a bit more detail, but as a sort of follow through, as a pass from one place to another, because I think whenever I think of follow through, I think of Manchester City. So it was Wolves 1, Man City 2. A little bit of upset. We'll just talk about the game because Man City winning the game is a bit of an inevitability, a bit of Thanos about it. John Stones. There was the. It is controversial. I think it was Bernardo Silva, who I believe was judged offside, and then it went to Vahaha, who decided no, you're fine. I'll start with you, Grimmy. Why not? Was that the right call? Do you think it should have been a goal, or do you think it should have been disallowed?
I think it should have been a goal.
Oh.
I don't want it to be a goal. Like, I want Sarr to make the save and parry it over, and City get like their 200th corner kick of the past 5 minutes. But I just think that Silva's ducked out the way, and Sarr's. Silva is the tiniest man on the field. He's about 4'2". If Sarr can't see over him and not be impeded by him, I mean, what are we doing? But Silva's out the way, and Gary O'Neill made the point of we had the same situation last year, and I've seen a replay of the event he's talking about, but the guy's literally stood right in front of the keeper and is backing into him, so his eye line is impeded, and that's why it got denied essentially or disallowed. But this one, Silva's already down, gets out the way, and when the John Stones makes contact with the ball, they paused it, and Silva's already away from the keeper. So it's like he's not really impeding him. So for me, I think common sense is when it's like that and the keeper isn't. Because if he was diving into Bernardo Silva to save it, I would say he's impeding him then. But he's not. The ball's going in a totally different direction. Silva's getting out the way and is clearly out the way by the time the header happens. So I think for me, common sense would be it should stand. And I'd say that if it was any other team, because I've seen them plenty of times where they've been disallowed and a guy's just, been stood totally out the way and they've been disallowed. I think there was like an infamous one with like Newcastle and Chelsea, and it shouldn't have been disallowed because it was a perfectly fine goal, but he was in an offside position and he was like 5 yards away from the keeper, so therefore it got disallowed. But with that one, he's just totally out. He's got himself out the way before the header even happens. So for me, it should have been a goal. As much as I did want it to be a goal.
How about you, Sam? Do you have a contrasting view, or do you concur?
I didn't have a problem with it, and I don't like defending Man City. It makes me feel physically ill, but I did. I didn't have a problem with it. I thought the whole argument I was sort of seeing on Twitter with regards to the fact he was impeding the goalkeeper. Well, it was minor, to be honest. That happens. I've seen that a million times in terms of people hustling with the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper pushed him. If anything, was probably more of a foul than the other way around. And he can't have been offside because the corner taker, the offside didn't happen until after that point. You know, the corner taker, he wasn't offside when he was impeding then. Then by the time Stones makes the header, as Grimmy says, he's not in the eye line of the goal. Had Stones have headed it in that far corner and it had gone over his head and therefore probably impeded a dive, then it might have been different. But it was straight at the goalkeeper. I just think it's mine. I felt a bit because Wolves have had it harder than anybody else, to be fair, over the past 12 months. But I did think in this one, kind of fair play to the referee, because VAR called him over, and we all know what usually that means. And he's stuck with his guns in a stadium where he's up against the team that are saying, no, this is the decision we want overturned. I know everyone's because it's Manchester City, and we all know about the charges and this, that, and the other. So everyone thinks there's a conspiracy, but I think the reality is he went with his decision, he went with his gut for it. And I just didn't think the only thing they could have given it for was a foul on the goalkeeper, and I just thought that wasn't enough. And he wasn't offside when that was happening, so the offside thing for me was moot. But as always, you go on Twitter and it's like, it's the worst decision I've ever. Sometimes there are controversial decisions where there are this kind of debate. One will have one opinion, one will have another. But I don't think it was awful either way.
Yeah, because if there was an offside discussion to be had, that's when I would have probably sided a bit with Wolves, because I think when situations happen like that, and people are about in the line of sight of the goalkeeper, I sort of think if he's in your peripheral, that's impeding and impacting the game of play for me. Because if I'm standing here looking over there, but I know there's a dude over here that can do something, I'm aware of that, so that can be distracting. So if there's an offside rule to have, then I'd be all behind that. But because you couldn't be, then it just kills it then, really, doesn't it? Everyone gets themselves all upset for nothing. I think I'm just checking. Spenny fan Chris, I think it's awful decision to give that goal. Spenny had something similar and it was offside. How is it any different to this one? Shouldn't have been a goal. But Graham, contrastingly, like the others, as much as I hate to see it, I think it was right to allow the goal. The thing that, I'll be honest, peed me off the most about the whole game was Pep gloating afterwards. The one thing I cannot stand is, he's such an ass, that bloke. It's the hypocrisy of, if he loses because the opposite team are being dogged and getting stuck in and, really low line and parking the bus. He's like, it's disgusting. Only one team tried to play football here. And, there's just, but after this game, he was saying, people shouldn't be shouldn't judge others for the things that they have to do to try and beat us. And I was like, you smug ass. That rank on me a little bit. It did.
That's one thing I'll always rate Klopp over Pep on doing, is that Klopp would always stick to his guns, even if he won 3-0 and beat United 3-0 at Old Trafford. It's like, only one team came to play, did this, that, and the other. And even if he lost to United, he'd be like, only one team came to play, did the other. Whilst Pep will change it if he's won. But if he loses, he's just as salty as what Klopp was.
Klopp will never ever like doing anything at 12:30 in his life. His whole life, he's going to see that through. Nothing should happen at 12:30 on a Saturday. Not happy with it.
I got to be honest. I agree with that. 12:30 on a Saturday is not good. It's not good. It means you have to be up too early. They have them players, bless their little hearts. They normally finish training by like 1 o'clock, don't they? But I'm not a Pep fan. Graham said football controversy and Twitter's an amazing contribution. I tell you what, while we're on that, then the refereeing contributions and conspiracy, let's head over to the south coast near Sam's gaff. Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 0. I mean, Sam, how did that game make you feel?
Well, I was pleased for Bournemouth, and I think Arsenal, I think this was coming, to be honest with you, after the previous weeks. I think they've got away with it a little bit the last few weeks, both Leicester and Southampton. Heather is absolutely, and deservedly so. They earned it. The sending off will, of course, come to whatever, but Bournemouth were playing well at that point. Arsenal weren't really threatening. I do think without Saka and Odegaard, that attack is not quite the same, but Heather's got a good front line there now. There's some good attacking players in that Bournemouth side, and they interchange so well. You look at who's playing and how many goals scored. There's about 8 different goal scorers, I think, outside of is it Semenyo? you've got Taverniers in there. You've got Kluivert, Ouattara. Even Nielsen now seems like he's starting to find his ground as well. And Bournemouth were very good, and good for them that they got, I think, their first win over a top 6 side or something in the last year or something or other. But they've been threatening and had some massive results in that time too. So yeah, brilliant result for them. And Arsenal will be disappointed.
I've got to see you've got some of the chat between Heather and Charlotte's making me laugh. Heather went heat. Charlotte said heat. She meant Heather, but heat and Heather just goes hand in hand for me. She's asking Heather, how did it make you feel? She says, fan. I tried to think of another
Flooby-tastic.
Fluky-tastic. I don't get this one now. Chubby Sausage Thumbs strikes again. Who's Chubby Sausage Thumbs? That's not me.
She's describing herself as Chubby Sausage Fingers or Thumbs for when she typed heat instead of Heather.
I thought she was on about one of the footballers. Who's that?
Running down the wing, hailing a taxi.
I thought, is that has Christy got chubby thumbs or something? I know I have. Look at these monsters. I tell you what, to pick your nose of these things, you flipping rip your eyes out. But yeah, you were right. Apparently, Shannon, you're right. Totally. Should say no, not a footballer. Yeah, that's me. I didn't get it at all. I'm just too old. I'm too old for this game, I tell you. I'd have to say Semenyo's not even a strike. I mean, Semenyo, he nearly got himself into a bit of trouble, though. I think on the pitch, sort of unnecessarily picking up cards and creating a lot of aggravation. But we'll keep on one. It was 11v11. Graham thinks it was 11v11. Bournemouth was still the better side. I mean, Grimaldo, did you catch much of the game? Do you concur?
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw of it, it definitely looked like Bournemouth were edging towards getting a goal or at least being dominant. So obviously it's one thing having to play against 10 minutes. The other thing is getting the goals against it, because sometimes that can be more difficult when they're just putting the barricades up. But I think Bournemouth honestly, I enjoy watching Bournemouth so much because they just go for it. They don't hang about. If they get the ball, they're going forward as quickly as possible. And I've been impressed with what they've done ever since. Is it Areola? I think that's how you.
That's a nipple.
Iraola, yeah. That's West Ham's goalkeeper.
Yeah, Areola. Ever since he's gone over to Bournemouth since the start of last season, I think that Bournemouth have just looked so much a better team. And I think they could give any team in the Premier League a run for their money. I think even City did give a game at Bournemouth. So, yeah, I think they're a great watch, really, and it's credit to Areola and his squad, really.
And you know, for me, I credit the owners a bit as well, because he did have a bit of a ropey start. I think there was a couple of games at one point where they sort of struggled a bit, and but they stuck with him. There was none of this, you know, we're going to sack him and bomb him up. They stuck with him, and he's come good.
He's very good tactically. Very good tactically.
Oh yeah, he's brilliant tactically. I also think that starting period for him didn't help with the fact that they had Gary O'Neill keep them up the previous season, and then they still got rid of Gary O'Neill. I think there was a lot of fans going, well, why we've done that. So yeah, I think like Sam says, tactically, I think he's brilliant. I do actually think he's one of the ones that if a bigger job came along, I think he'd do well at any team because of his how he is tactically.
And Heather was saying 99 games without a win, green draw. She thinks a green draw, that's I think that's where you keep your plants in the house. It isn't. She meant to say even, without a win or even a draw.
Those chubby sausage films are striking everybody in the chat. Or is it Saliba? I can't
tell. And I'm going to say, Aviola, he's getting a bit of biology here. Technically, isn't that area around the nipple? It is. It is indeed, actually. The Aviola is. Don't.
Thank God we have Graham on VAR. He's reversed the decision.
Confirmed it. I was about to get the proper biology then, and like A-level childish biology, but I'm not. I'm gonna decline from that.
As long as that card stays on, we're okay.
Yeah, I just give it that. Semenyo, he did do well.
The other
I
thing
think
I did like with Iraola from the weekend as well was that he and he talked about it in his press. They lost to Leicester the weekend before, and he was still peeved about it. It spent 2 weeks, and he was like still wasn't. And he kept mentioning it about 100 times, like that lost to Leicester, but we came out and we did it because we lost last week to Leicester, and I wasn't happy about it. And I liked that. It was kind of like, yeah, I'm here to put stuff right. And the fact we've beaten Arsenal 2-0, but that loss to Leicester, I'm telling you, it's still getting me going.
I mean, I've got to be the same thing with Slot being upset about losing to Nottingham Forest, and it's good managers. They want to win every game. I had to say she's got the sausage tubs there. Thumbs. Yeah, the sausage tubs. I like that. I'm gonna remember that, sausage tubs. I keep wanting to go into like childish biology with sausage tubs, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to draw any lines from one place to another. Treaty, good evening. Very late. What's going on here? All the good stuff's happened. We've had some wonderful conversations, some great in-depth analysis. It's been amazing. Probably one of our finest half hours on any pod. And but you're here, and that is the main thing. I hope you're doing well. And Graham saying the absolute bull pod VAR, this will go well. I mean, well, something that didn't go well and that Arsenal were very upset about was a player being sent off for being the last man and fouling a player, knowing that there's a red card offence. Sam, should they be upset that the team with all the red cards got the red card for creating a red card offence?
No, what a Willie Saliba. What a Willie, eh? I mean, no.
Willie
Willie. Was it the stat they've now had? Was it 19 red cards or something since Boxing Day 21?
It's ridiculous.
It's 2019.
2019, and it's just.
I'm sure it was like 16, 17 odd within like Arteta's run a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? He's been piling them up.
Well, they're just. I mean, this one was just decision making because I mean. Okay, you get if it was a real split second of the guy's turn, he's done it, but he didn't. It was like 1-2 seconds, and then he's made the decision. It's like, and Saliba's quick. I mean, Never Nilsson's quick, but over that distance that they had to run, you think you've got a shot at it. Don't, and they've caused their own problem with that high line. So again, it's very different to their last two sendings off, but. And Graham makes a good point there. I mean, and I think Lucas said in our chat as well, Trossard needs to take some blame as well because what the bloody hell he didn't even look. Caused that whole incident with just laziness. But as I said earlier, I think Arsenal have had this coming. They've been shoddy in the last few games. They've had a couple of warnings with some of the red cards they've had. Just poor decision making. And let's be honest, the pressure isn't really on yet. We're not in the cusp of the season. It doesn't bode well. And even this one, Arteta was more resigned. Normally, he loves a good whinge and a moan. And this one, he was just like. Oh, I don't think I can defend this one. This is this is silly from Willie.
Silly.
I would argue the pressure is on Arsenal now, though, simply because of how Liverpool are doing. Not to tease and
But you know what I mean. The title.
Get Josh all excited with that statement, but
the title run when you can't lose a game pressure. Do you know what I mean? What I mean. If they're faltering now, what are they going to be like when you cannot lose?
No, I get what you mean, but I just think what my point was more the fact that Liverpool, apart from Nottingham Forest, have been basically running like a Mercedes engine and just going about the business of winning games left, right, and centre. And other than City, there isn't really anyone else doing that. And it's kind of like, I know from my predictions, which are going awfully so far for the Premier League, and that podcast we did. I don't think I'm getting many right because I thought Arsenal were going to win the title, and I just don't see that happening right now.
Me too. I mean, a long time since we've seen anything from Solaris. Hope you're doing well. It's been a while. Arsenal doing homage to the George Graham era. In regard to I'm assuming that's all the lovely red cards that they collect at the moment. And that stiff resolve. I mean, I'm not sure whether Arteta is sort of creating that. I think we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago in that when you watch the documentary, he's very much like, you're going to fight. You're going to fight to the end. You're going to keep fighting. And it's almost like he's tried to do that siege mentality thing that Jose did, but just not as well, and just got too excited, and everybody just geared up just to go smash him, and that's what they're quite literally doing. Heather's saying that even Declan Rice was like, our players are daft. And she believes Lucas knew it was coming because all of a sudden he was being nice about Bournemouth in the build to Arsenal. Bournemouth. It was. I mean, I concur with both of you. I don't think there's any question around the red card. And sending off, and it was what it is. And I think who scored that? It was Christie's goal. Wasn't that a beauty? Couldn't we just admire that for a moment?
Really good, really well worked, really well. Nice to see because everyone been crediting Arsenal for their set pieces. That was clever. I like the fact that when he scored as well, and he ran over, and the bloke ran over to him, and he was going, "It worked, it worked, yeah."
It was just a lovely strike as well. It was really good. And then when they got the penalty as well, I was just thinking, what are you doing? You're being so silly, Arsenal, just being so silly. And Justin Clive, I was actually watching the game with my father-in-law in the pub, and he looked at the soccer. He hasn't followed football properly in a while. He's like, "It's not Patrick Clive retired." I was like, no, he's still kicking about in Bournemouth. He is,
and he's had some work done to keep his face looking totally different to what he did 20 years ago.
Yeah, you wouldn't have guessed he used to play in heels and platforms, would you?
yeah.
And Graham was saying, beat Arsenal with a well-worked set piece, the cherry on the cake, pun intended. And apparently Palace have missed something. We don't know what they've missed, Alex.
Incredible double save, to be fair.
The half-time kickoff. Oh. Maybe an orange or lemon. I don't know.
They've missed the half-time. They're still in the dressing room. They have to go in. Look, I called them. Tough shit. Come on, lads, let's go. Kicked off, and they 1-0 down. I don't know if they 1-0 down straight away. I'm just making that up. Just totally making that up. We'll get on to another game with a bit of controversy, which we won't touch on first. We'll build into the controversy. Tottenham Hotspur 4, West Ham United 1. Samuel, how did that game make you feel?
Tottenham scoring goals, aren't they? They are scoring goals. They're all in love with Ange again, aren't they? So it's a merry-go-round with Ange with the Tottenham fans, as I find. But at the minute, they seem to be happy again because they've won a game. It's very funny how that goes. No, I think Tottenham are they're a team that I think really enjoy playing a kind of side that, West Ham are not going to kind of sit back and try and make things difficult. And that's where Tottenham struggle a tad. But when a team plays open against them, I like the fact that Ange has kind of moved Kulusevski into more of a deeper role. He seems to be sort of sitting just off with having Brennan Johnson out wide. And we're starting to see, because I've always kind of rated Kulusevski, but I don't think he's ever kind of had that run. He seems to pick up an injury or whatever. Doesn't always get the same plaudits as like a Son or a Maddison and that get, but I think he's been really important for them. And they're scoring a lot of goals. I mean, they've scored 18 so far. That's a shed load. And when they've been winning, they've been punting them in, and they've been killing games off, which is what he wants to see. They still have this kind of suicidal element to them that you can still kind of see. And at times you can see it's going to backfire still, which I think will ultimately be the consistency issue that will cost them top four. But in terms of a side and in terms of an entertaining team to watch, they're pretty much up there with those in the division, you've got to say. Son coming back in, he always scores against West Ham anyway, and he loves scoring against West Ham. And West Ham are just... We praised them, I think, last time I was on. I think when Michelle and Rebecca on, because they had a good result against Ipswich, attacked well. But it did show probably that was against Ipswich. And now they've been ripped to absolute shreds and don't seem to know how to defend again. So they may be needing to give David Moyes a call if this carries on a bit longer.
I mean, and Grimmy, here's a question for you. Something that I picked up from a comment from Ange, big Ange himself. They played better after he subbed Maddison off. He said it was a tactical change because he said he noticed that they would need a bit more energy. They needed more drive to get through that midfield and creativity, implying to me that Maddison didn't have the drive or wasn't putting the energy in. He's not had the same standards of last season. Do you think Maddison actually might have bloomed a little bit and now he's showing his true colours, or do you think he's having a bit of an off time at the moment?
I wouldn't say. I don't think he's having an off time at the minute. I think yesterday it made sense in terms of the tactical change because in that first half, West Ham were getting a lot of luck down the wings, and Maddison wasn't really helping out in terms of the defensive duties. Again, creatively, he was fine, but then when Sarr came on, again, like Sarr was when he was at Watford, he was up and down the pitch, chasing after everything, set up a couple of things as well, and just gave probably a bit more zip to West Ham's play, to Spurs' play. And that kind of opened West Ham up and put them on the back foot. So I think for me, Madison might not have been as good as maybe he was in the first season, but I still think that Ange is going to use him more often than not. And I think even if it is a bad couple of games he's had, I mean, he played well against United. I mean, everyone plays well against United at the minute, but he played well against United, so I think that's why he's still in the team. So for me, I don't think it's. I think yesterday was just a case of tactical change, like Ange said afterwards. It was just the need for the tactic, and they went and got 3 goals in that second half, and it worked to perfection.
Oh, I did. Alex asking, did the Hammers win there last season? I got no idea.
I think they did.
last week.
Yeah,
No, I don't.
when David Moyes was there.
Maybe that is the answer. At the same Spurs win and Arsenal lose. How often does that happen the same weekend?
I mean, if you go back before Arteta, probably quite a lot.
But I mean, and Graham touches on the mad 10 minutes cost West Ham. It did, but
Kudus didn't help them.
I was going to say, let's talk about the madness that is Kudus there. Getting one in on the 18th. Good goal he scored. He looked really good. In the first half, he was looking good. Slowly lost his head and just decided, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want to play. I don't want to play anymore. I've had enough. I'm going to fight you all. Sam, are you down for this fighting everybody on the pitch? What happened?
I think he got frustrated and he just had enough and just kind of, I think the whole thing, he's like, yeah, we've let this slip. It's all got away. I scored the first goal. What the bloody hell's happened here? And then, one sort of push to the face and was like, just in case that wasn't enough, here's another one over here. But the bit that creases me up still is, have you seen the fact that Richarlison runs at the back of his head, completely oblivious, and he goes down as if he's been absolutely, that's
honestly,
absolute classic, which ironically was the accidental one out of the 3 incidents that happened. What an idiot. Yeah, I mean, he's had enough. Either that or he's got a holiday or a wedding or something to go to, and he needs a couple of weeks off, perhaps.
I think he's doing
Can't be fear of playing Man United. Can't be that.
Doubt it.
I think Graham said in the chat, Kudos saw one of those slap videos online and thought, I'll have one of that. And, could have got 3 red cards. I mean, I think in all seriousness, he'll face some retrospective action on that. I mean, Grimace, do you think, how many games do you think he's going to end up missing? Because that is this. I don't know
was
if
it a straight red or was it a yellow?
Straight
beforehand?
It was a straight. It was uplifted, wasn't it? And violent conduct. So
yeah, because the yellow first. First the ref went, come on, no, it's just handbag slapping.
It's just a cheeky face plant.
Yeah, just 2 of them. One because he wasn't sure.
What did that one go to VAR?
Yeah,
it did,
VAR did.
Yeah,
because that was my initial thought is, he's hit him there. Well, he's not hit him, but he's gone above the usual chest area and he's went and pushed her away. So I was kind of like, that's gonna get looked at again. And then sure enough, he went to the screen. So I mean, probably. I mean, how many games he'll get, I don't know. Probably extend it to 5 or 6. Probably 1 per hit. Probably on top of 3. I don't know. Yeah, he just lost his mind in the space of 20 seconds and just went, I'm gonna hit everybody in sight.
I mean, and Salavis to say, new offence, persistent violent contact. I like a bit of that. I'm desperate to sneeze. So every 5 minutes, I think I'm going to sneeze, and I mute myself, and I'm not. I'm getting myself all excited, and nothing's happening. But persistent violent contact. I like.
It's like a Tekken combo, getting it all.
I was going to say like a Hadouken.
But the fact it's just like that one. I mean, I do think. It is a little bit antagonistic when the players sort of come up and like, squint and think, because in the real world, that's what would happen. You would sort of smash them away a bit, but can't do it. It's not real football. It's football, mate. So all of those before the game, there was a lot of, and even after he scored his first goal, I don't know if you saw on social media, there's a lot of, Kudos is a bit too good for West Ham. I mean, maybe like Liverpool will link with him, Chelsea will be linked with him, maybe this team will be. I think that might have might have knackered himself out a little bit there, and that was just bitten the bullet, and he might be staying at West Ham for a little bit in the foreseeable. But it was another game with a red card, wasn't it? Which was the other game with a red card?
Southampton, Leicester.
Not that. That's not the one I was thinking of. But did you watch that game? Because I didn't. I watched nothing.
I've
of that
seen
one.
the highlights of the Southampton Leicester one. Yeah.
Oh, what was your highlight of the highlights?
Honestly, the probably the most exciting part of the match was when Fatawu came on in the second half for Leicester, and he just absolutely tore Southampton apart. He just ran at them and was like, I think he was unlucky not to get a goal, to be fair, because I think he hit the post with like a long range shot at one point and pretty much set up the preceding events to the Vardy penalty when Fraser grabbed his shirt and pulled him back when Vardy was about to have a tap in. But yeah. But yeah, great comeback from Leicester. And Leicester are the only promoted side to have won a game so far this season.
Oh,
and they beat Bournemouth, which clearly hurt Bournemouth because he was mentioned it in the interview, like Sam said. So,
oh my days! So it's a well done, Leicester. So they can compete against fellow Championship teams. They're just got to do it now against the others. And Bournemouth, yeah, I give them Bournemouth. Yeah. I think. Heather said, "Mine Fraser on for 10 minutes and straight red. Made a brilliant day, even more brilliant."
He was all over the place as well. He was the one that Fatu was absolutely tearing to shreds. But yeah, from a Southampton perspective, they were. I say obviously where I'm at, there's a lot of Saints fans around, and as soon as they, like it was like the Everton one the other day when it went to 2-1, you went, oh no, oh no, I can see where this script goes, and then 2, and then the sending off, and you're just waiting as you're just seeing the stoppage time minutes click over, and it was just they're in trouble. I think there's a lot of people calling for Martin, but the owners have come out and said they're sticking their long-term plan. To be honest, Southampton were not expecting to go up last season. Going up was a surprise to them, and I think they're aware how long they'll continue to if they're in dire straits. At the minute, the noise is coming out saying they're going to stick with it, but the fact is that now they've lost to Chris Wood has scored. That man, Chrissy Wood, get in. That's how you score. That's a finish. Look at that. Love it. Absolutely.
You're looking at a man who's only scored 25 points in his fantasy team. He needs those goals.
Chris Wood, you beauty. So I think, back to Southampton. Losing. You think now they've lost winning position against Leicester and then winning position against Ipswich, and they've come away 1 point from those 2 games at home. They can't afford to be doing that. I mean, defensively, it's not going very well. Not going very well.
I can't man. It's called it spot. We might be recording the game. Spoilers, but
it's also
accept it.
It's also going to get a lot worse before it gets better, I think, because they've got City next. So be a hide into nothing that one next week.
I mean, and Heather said Russell Martin been to the Scott Parker School of Interviews. Anyone's fault but his. Scott Parker.
Scott Parker's another level, I think. I think he's an interesting character.
Yeah, yes, indeed. But no, the game I was thinking of was Spenny fan Chris said the Fulham game.
Of course, yeah.
With my FPL pick, who served me ever so well, Raúl Jiménez, opening the scores. It was Fulham 1, Aston Villa 3. I'm very excited about this game, and but only because Jimenez scored and some other bits and pieces with Aston Villa. But Grimmy, Fulham 1, Aston Villa 3. How did that make you feel?
I mean, to be fair, it's funny you bring up Jimenez because he was kind of one of my highlights of the week, really, with the fact that he seems to have had a bit of rejuvenation going to Fulham. I was obviously when he got his head injury, it kind of looked like that was sort of the end of his prime and not really being the proper goal scorer he was when he was at Wolves. But then he's gone to Fulham, and then this season, I mean, what is it? It's like 7 goals or something he scored.
I think apparently he scored 10 in 12 games, 10 goals in 12 games, which is more goals than he scored in the previous 54.
Yeah, like it's crazy the rejuvenation he's having. It's like him and Danny Welbeck having a great season so far. But yeah, like him scoring that early goal, I was like, oh, maybe Fulham are gonna pull up a surprise. But then Villa have just done what they've been doing really since Emery's come in, and just sort of no panic, went about the business and turned it round. Of course, the sending off will have helped them in some aspects, but I was pretty confident that Villa were going to probably come away with something, at least if not a draw, at least get a few goals and by the end of the game, because Fulham sometimes aren't the best defensively, and I think with the way Villa play, I think they could have exploited that quite well, and obviously they did in the end, winning. Was it 3-1 in the end? I think
3-1.
So
It
yeah,
was.
but
I mean, and Samuel, Aston Villa's best start to any season. Best start to any season in the Premier League, and Unai Emery, and like coming from behind a 5-minute opening goal, can be a little bit of a rocker, but 9 minutes equalised, and then just went on to boss it. Even before the sending, before any sendings off occurred. I mean, what are you feeling? Would you be excited as an Aston Villa fan?
Oh, 100% they should be excited because, I mean, so far, the only game they lost was that home game to Arsenal. And okay, sticky couple of draws before them, but you're gonna get those. Get Aston Villa in that title race. That's what I say. Get them in that title race because I'm fed up of this 3-horse. And if Arsenal are going to faff around and we've got to deal with Liverpool, Man City again, no. I want a bit of Villa. I want a bit of good evening in there. I want a bit of Unai Emery shoving some poop either way, causing some trouble. The newcomer coming in, causing some issues. I love it. I think everybody from a neutral perspective is enjoying what Aston Villa are doing. And I mean, personally, I really love that win over Bayern Munich in the Champions League for them. I just think that they are a club that for years and years and years they've come down to the Championship. They've come back up. They've not had much success, but they're a massive historical kind of club, and they're there. And I've always kind of respected. They're a club that the values of what that Villa have always seem to be kind of good. So for them to be enjoying it, why not? They've got some really exciting players. Watkins has started to hit form again. I like Morgan Rogers. I think he's really exciting. And that's even before you get to Super Johnny Duran, who comes off the bench as and when required. Didn't score. Saving it for a rainy day. Didn't need it. Said, I'm going to keep it in my pocket for now. It's going to be fine. And they've got players coming back as well. Everyone's forgotten Boubacar Kamara has been out for such a long time. He's way back. Tyrone Mings gives them something else defensively.
Can I say, you said that name so well. Say it again, Sam.
Boubacar Kamara.
Sam. Oh, Boubacar. Oh, God, I love it. It is. They're just looking well. I mean, Simon said they always thought Unai wasn't given enough time at Arsenal. Heather's scared to go in there. I'm assuming she means because of football not going to Birmingham, though, because that does scare me.
It can be scary. I've been to Birmingham at times and went down the wrong
Depends
street.
what part of Birmingham.
Very scary. Very scary indeed.
Find a non-scary part of Birmingham.
I think that'll be interesting, actually. Villa versus Bournemouth. Yeah, I think I'd be a bit worried as well, Heather, to be honest. But I think they'll be a little bit concerned about you as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good game. That'll be a game certainly well worth watching, I think. That'll be exciting football. And they're two really well-run teams at the moment with good managers doing good things. Very exciting. Well, I'm loving it. There was something else at here we are. Graham said Pereira needs to spend less time poncing about with this penalty. I haven't heard the word poncing about for a while. I like a bit of less time poncing about and run up, but concentrate on taking a decent penalty. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Anybody enjoy a bit of poncing about?
Not when it comes to a penalty, no.
Not when it comes to that. I've never understood the whole tap it into the keeper's arms. Well done.
I've always been like the Alan Shearer school of I'm going to put it there as hard as I possibly can. So have some of this, you bitch. And
if you blaze it over the bar 20 yards, at least you put some effort into actually hitting the ball.
Just run speed. All of this. Here we go. Oh, here I go. I'm going to kick it. Am I going to kick it? Oh, here it comes. Is it coming? No, it's not.
It's still not the worst run up though. The worst run up is Paul Pogba's 30 tiny steps, jogging on the spot practically, then running and then blazing it over the bar.
Who was the guy during with the Italian? Was it Zaza? Simone Zaza used to do it. I think he did even more, didn't he? He had that kind of really tiny step.
I like Roberto Carlos is for me the master of the tiny little. Here we go, the little engine. I'm going to build up steam. But he used to wallop it and score beautiful free kicks.
Yeah,
and with him, it was just building the power up in his legs. You could just see it. That was like
charging like one of those toy cars, up, like revving it up and just.
Yeah, and he used to do it so he could get away with it because it would work, and he had a left foot that could like decimate a brick wall and demolish buildings.
Mhm.
So I was going to say ask Alan Smith about a good left foot free kick, but I'm not going to, because that's mean, isn't it? Wouldn't that be terrible if I said that? So
I watched that live on TV and he threw up seeing that man's leg collapse.
Well, you should never get in the way of John Arnovise, mate. His leg survived the golf club off Craig Bellamy. So what a machine. But
I was a huge fan of Craig Bellamy and his work.
Yeah. That's team building, isn't it? Should we play a round of golf together? Round of golf? No, sorry. I meant I'm going to hit you with a golf club. Oh, thank you very much. And Simon saying Birmingham is scary. It is scary. Graham saying he's beaten Birmingham. Thankfully, he survived to tell the tale. And Heather saying Villa Park is not an easy place to go. Again, we're assuming you mean in the football context, not because your sat nav's playing up or something, just for clarity. But was there any other exciting games? I believe there was one more, which I'll ask you guys about. And bear in mind how lovely I was about Man United earlier. Remember that. This isn't quid pro quo or anything like that. Liverpool 2, the league leaders. Liverpool 2, Chelsea 1. Hey, Samuel, how did that one make you feel?
To be honest, I was looking forward to this one this weekend because I think both sides were coming. Obviously, Liverpool been in tremendous form. Chelsea been showing a little bit more. I was quite intrigued to see. Just it's usually I've sort of recent years it's been Chelsea going to go there and just not kind of put up a lot, and Liverpool will pick them apart. But no, I thought it was a good game. I think it was one of those like. Obviously, Liverpool be happier with the win, but I don't think Chelsea completely disgraced themselves. There's some stuff not right, but there's some stuff you can kind of see they're moving in a better direction as well to what we all thought at the start of the season. Yeah. But I think for Liverpool, Curtis Jones was fantastic. I mean, having him back is, when everyone was calling for midfielders and that, they're forgetting that Curtis Jones had been out for quite a while. To bring him back in, and then obviously you've had Gravenberch make such a shift in there. They're just, and to the extent that they're able to manage McAllister. So, McAllister didn't even start there. So it gives you that extra option. I just thought, Liverpool were clinical. You just felt that even though Chelsea kind of had that dominance, that Liverpool were going to get something because it's Anfield, it's going to happen. I thought the ref had a really good game. I thought he got everything spot on, to be honest, in all the decisions that kind of went. I didn't have any issue with anything that happened. I think Sanchez is a bit of a clown, to be honest. Chelsea's keeper. I think he's one of their biggest issues.
I'm going to ask about that, just as a sidebar, because that's the one thing I did struggle with a little bit, is how that wasn't a penalty when he wiped out a player in the box. That could be my, in the words of Gary O'Neill, unconscious bias that I have.
I think I'd put it down as kind of, it was clumsy. But the thing for me was that Jones didn't shoot. He kept holding, and it was one of those, it funnily trickled through, but he was kind of stood there and it went over. For me, it wasn't like he's come out and absolutely, I think it benefited you in the end because I think it changed the way Sanchez came out for when you did score, because he didn't come out the same way. He held off a little bit and it did. And I think, so inadvertently, probably has helped. But for me, no, I don't think it was. I thought they did well to kind of get that one right. The same as the Salah dive. I thought they were good to push that one out as well, because that was, if that was Anthony, we'd be talking about it, but we have to mention it because we're unbiased on this pod. So there was that as well. So for me, not a penalty.
Because there was some bizarre in isolate, because obviously we watch the game differently, being a fan and then being a neutral. Some of the things you pick up on, because at the same time as Salah going over, then there was getting fouled in the box as well. But the one thing that did confuse me a little bit is, I think it was at Darwin Núñez, and I can't remember the Chelsea player. They came together, they just ran into each other, but that was given as a foul. Did I? Again, that might have been my unconscious balance, but I mean, Grimmy, you're normally one to give Liverpool a good shat on if you can. Well, am I wrong in that? Was that just a bit of because it was a nothing for me. There was nothing either way. They just
when I saw that, I didn't particularly think anything of it. It did feel like it was just a coming together of two players running into each other. But it was also, I felt the same thing with De Ligt, on the Saturday when he went for the header, which is what injured him and cut him open.
Yeah.
he went to header it, and the Brentford player kneed him in the head, and then they gave a free kick against De Ligt because he was going for a header. And I was like, he's just been kneed in the head. Like, how is that? Like, if you do a drop ball there, I'd get it because it's two players going for the ball, whatever,
Because I think with things like that, if it's a high foot on the head, the high foot is foul. I think I don't know, it wasn't. Like
the guy was jumping in his air. The Brentford player was jumping in the air with his knee, and De Ligt was like just going for it like he normally would. But I still didn't really understand how that was a De Ligt foul. But
do you think sometimes in instances like that, maybe with this Liverpool and Chelsea one, when they just come together, the ref has reacted and blown his whistle and think, "Oh, I've got to give something to somebody now." Yes, you sir, you can.
I think
you've got Leicester games on this.
Don't get utilised enough in those situations when it's a bit more 50-50 and there's not, if it's like the ball's not really being a part of the scenario, it's kind of like, well, you can't just give it to one team or the other. You've got to give either of a chance to try and get it back, essentially. So it was one of those things that I didn't quite get either yesterday when it came up.
It's made a good gift though, isn't it?
Well, I mean, we always love a good gift, don't we?
Because that's what it's all about. The gift that keeps on giving. I have seen a lot of praise given for Chelsea, and I think they did play well. But from a Liverpool perspective, and as Arnslot said after the game, he was sort of he was okay with them having the ball and doing stuff because it's the quality of what they did in possession, and he felt that we were comfortable, that we were just going along. And Sam, you sort of said you felt Liverpool were comfortable throughout the game. I'm sort of looking at this one, and then the next test is Arsenal next week, but not just Arsenal, depleted Arsenal. Do you think this sort of, I think Grimmy said was like Mercedes, was it you, Grimmy? Mercedes sort of style of just doing things, just plodding along, doing your stuff. How do you think that's going to come up against the second test of Arsenal next week?
It's a different test, but I think, and going back to Grimmy's point, this is where the pressure really is on, because Arsenal now have, I think this has played really nicely into Liverpool's hands for next week, because Arsenal fans are going to be demanding that they have to go out and they have to go and beat Liverpool at home. And at the minute, we don't know what the status of Saka and Odegaard's fitness is going to be for that fixture, and they've got a midweek European game as well. So isn't gonna help to get through that.
Saliba's definitely missing, is he?
Saliba's definitely out. So therefore, you've got, and Kiwior was poor the weekend, so I don't think they're playing. I think there's questions over Calafiori still working his way in. He's going to be up against Salah, and Slot I think will utilise the same. He'll be happy for Arsenal to have the ball, knowing that you're going to hurt them and can hurt them in the moments. And I think, you look at a player I thought Chelsea played really well at the weekend was Lavia, Romeo Lavia in their control, and he looked really good. He got through your line and was able to ping stuff up, but then they still couldn't get further. Your defence defended really well. There wasn't a lot created. And Arsenal's wide players are going to have to be really good. They're going to have to be really good because that's where you can hurt Liverpool, and that's where Chelsea were getting a bit of joy with Madueke against Robertson. Robertson was having a really tough time. Trent pocketed Sancho on the other side, but Robertson was having a tough time, and they're going to need Saka for that. So I think it's really tasty now because Arsenal have got no choice, and Arsenal this season haven't been very good at coming out and saying we're going to dominate you, but they're going to have to, because if Liverpool go there and win, then certainly the big noises start going. You are in a title race, no doubt about it.
And Arteta would have blown it away, wouldn't he?
I'm just asking if I can make a point.
Acknowledge me.
Yes.
So his music starts playing. So I had a bit of a think about this today because I'd watched the Liverpool game, and again, like everyone else, was thoroughly impressed by how Liverpool did and managed Chelsea quite effectively. I think this is going to sound absolutely bizarre, but I genuinely think that this first sort of 10 games we've seen of Slot, I genuinely think over the past 2 or 3 years of Liverpool, these first 10 games they've played so much better. Graham gets it, but they played so much better than what they have the last 3 seasons of Klopp.
I agree. I think you're so much more sturdy and so much more. It's like he's looked at Klopp's thing, and Klopp's so about what Klopp is, and he's gone, because I'm not Klopp, I can say, let's tweak that a bit, and then you get this as well.
And I think the key thing, I've been trying to put my finger on what it is that I think is the main difference. And I think it's the amount of energy they put into getting the ball back. Because Klopp was always like, you've got to press him, like 100% of the time, you've got to hammer him. Again, Josh, you can tell me if it's different, because again, I don't watch Liverpool 100% of the time. But when I've watched Klopp, that seems to be what goes wrong for him towards the end, is that they sort of run out of legs. It's what happened with Dortmund. Yeah. And I think with Liverpool, that's what was starting to happen, is that the players just didn't have it, the energy to keep going. Because if you look at Van Dijk, you look at Salah, Robertson's losing his energy a little bit. He's not totally, I'm not saying he's wrecked or anything, but obviously there has to be a little bit of that being drawn back. And I think why I'm so impressed by what Slot's done is he's managed to change it from being the bombastic energy, firing all cylinders at all times Liverpool that Klopp had. And everyone, don't get me wrong, was fun to watch, because you didn't know at times if it was going to go Liverpool's way. Obviously, when they were winning league titles and Champions Leagues, it was clearly going the way all the time. But the past couple of seasons, it definitely had waned and not been as effective. And I just think the way Slot has them working, I don't, apart from City, I don't really see them tripping themselves up that much this season. If they keep going the way they're going, and of course that's what we're saying about the Arsenal test next week, but like, I don't really see anyone laying a finger on them apart from maybe City. The way they're playing right now, they could go 90 plus points quite easily, I think.
It's a more sustainable style of play, because that's what happened every season. Is we'd get to the last six to 10 games, people were just knackered. And they were, and it was something that I said when Slot come in before the season started. I said the one thing I felt he was going to do was just drop that high line a little bit, slow things down, because what was happening more and more was we'd concede a goal, because we'd go in bosh after a game, and at the start that's the only way we knew how to play. When you're getting tired and you're trying to go for that, you just leave much bigger gaps all the time. And that's why I was going to come on to Trent anyway, but that's why he got caught out more often under Klopp stuff, because we had a high line and everyone's boshing forward, and he's coming across and in all the time, leaving that right area exposed. Because I mean, and as he's shown this season, and in that game, he's the best defensive performer in that game. He has been in the last couple of England games, and hopefully people will start to see this season that actually he's a bloody good defender. But that style of play just left him so exposed, because he was focusing on cutting in, and you got this massive space. You basically got a good quarter of the pitch with no bugger there, and that's why he got caught out. So I do think that's why we're not conceding as early, or conceding pretty much. We're not conceding as much, because it's more controlled, and it's not off at the first straight away. As soon as the gate's down, we're not banging out after it. It is more of a controlled build-up. It's exciting in a different way to watch, and
I do think Slot's biggest test will probably come next summer, because if, I don't think it will happen, but if, say, for example, Van Dijk, Salah, and Trent, whose contracts are all up, go, he's got 3 big holes to fill there. And I just don't know if they're going to be, I mean, obviously they'll have the scouts in place and they'll have the system in place to bring replacements in, but whether or not they'll be able to do it straight away to the level that they're doing it now is a bit tricky. But I do think that if Liverpool, say by the time we get to Christmas, and they've basically lost 1 or 2 more games and that's it, I think that's a big convincing, and I don't know, incentive, I guess, to Van Dijk and Salah and Trent to go, Klopp's gone and we're even better now, so why would you leave? I think
as a team at the moment we are, I think, 2 points ahead of when we won the Premier League, the season that we won, and the last time we got 90 points, I think we were ahead of then as well. So we're having one of our better starts the season. It's interesting. It is.
And I think you're not under the pressure. Do you know what I mean? Because we all know what City can do. And let's be honest, City is still mucking around a little bit. They've been a bit, they've gone behind 5 of their 7 games so far, and they've still got that period of, who knows what's happening at the back end of that. But Liverpool fans honestly weren't expecting the title. They were prepared. New manager. We have to be patient. And okay, it's different once you're in a title race, you want to win it, of course, but they'll not feel that they have to. They'll feel and just because you're there and competing, as you said, maybe that's enough for Trent and for Salah. I mean, I think Van Dijk's already in contract talks. I honestly don't see Van Dijk or Trent going anywhere unless Trent's got some crazy desire for Madrid and the money and the rest of it. That's the only thing that could possibly, but I don't see it. I'd be surprised. I can't see Van Dijk going anywhere. Salah at some stages at that point of his career, you can see it, but and Van Dijk will then get to that point. But you'd hope that you can have a Van Dijk while you're bringing along the next centre back.
I think you can cope if it's just Salah. You can cope with just losing a Salah because as much as he brings everything in, and he's probably one of the best players we've had in the Premier League while he's been at Liverpool. But you can almost make adjustments, so you can sort of tweak a style of play, and you can bring players in, and the goals are more shared out. And I think our style of play hasn't been as reliant on him as it has been in previous seasons. In previous seasons, I think we needed him playing well, and when he didn't, no one else was there. So I think we could almost deal with him. I don't want him to go. Before I get any shit of any Liverpool fans anywhere else, I don't want him to go. I think he's amazing. But I think you can almost cope with him going. If Trent and Van Dijk were to go, that would be a kicker. But I'm the same with you. I don't see Van Dijk going. I think he's in a weird position in his career to really go and do anything else. I think Salah's got the money that he can make. He can sort out his family and his kids and his kids' kids and his kids' kids.
Yeah, and he's from a part of the world where football is growing and they're trying it, and they want Salah because they know that he's going to be the big poster boy to push.
And he might want to be that poster boy to help improve football in that area where he's from. You know,
I don't see. I view it differently. I generally think there's a good chance that Salah will stay. I don't say it being like another 5 years, but I think you get him another 2 years. Same with Van Dijk. I think Trent's the one that I think everyone needs to be worried about, because I do think there is that. I think Madrid will have a pull, and we've seen like Liverpool players go to Madrid before, like Steve McManaman. I mean, you know, he's from Liverpool. He's a Scouser himself. That should have been like Liverpool's the holy grail to him, but you know, and then you've got such a young Madrid team. Trent sort of fits into that sort of spine of that team.
And he's won everything. He's won everything.
So he might want that. Yeah, he might want that challenge, mightn't he? And then it's ironic. You may well end up with. Remember that summer where Henderson and Trent were trying to persuade Bellingham to go to Liverpool? Is you may now have Bellingham on the England camps the other way round with Trent.
I'll be the only thing I will be annoyed about if he goes. I can understand him going at some point. The thing that would rankle me, and I know a lot of Liverpool fans, is if he goes on a free. Yeah, that would be because I've seen some people say, "Oh, well, he doesn't know the club or anything." He does. He owes the club everything, because as much as he's done for the club, and without them bringing him in, putting the faith in him, putting all that development into him, he wouldn't have anything. He wouldn't be who he is. And I do think you owe that. Luis Suarez got us money, and he could have left quite easy, but he didn't. And I can see you, Grimmy. I'm not going to cut you off.
No, but I was just gonna ask though. But is that the player's responsibility to get money into the club?
Only if because he is a local boy. I would think you wouldn't want to leave your club in a position where it's such a key player leaving in such a key position and such a key for me from a person, not as a footballer. As a Scouse lad, as somebody,
I get that argument. Like I do understand the argument. Like I'm not disregarding. I guess I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit in the sense of, but why have Liverpool left it so late in the day to get a contract with him? I
think that's despicable. I do think if that's because I've seen some people say, well, you don't know what's been going on. There could have been conversations taking place for a while, but these things don't stay quiet.
Yeah,
very often.
Someone would have said something at some point. An agent would have leaked it. Liverpool could have leaked it to put pressure on Trent, vice versa. And I mean, Van Dijk came out today to say he's having contract talks. So, like, you know,
and it's not the first time, and he's not the first player, and it's not the first time this has happened under FSG. They have got form of leaving it till we're in the shit, and we can quite literally be left with this. So I do think that's bad show from the club, and thus which is a separate conversation. I think in regards to the ownership and the way that they run contracts is mental. I mean, I think I've seen something that sort of said, Liverpool have got to be careful of managing the contract bill for the UEFA financial rules, because we sort of operate on the cusp of. Well, I think we stay profitable. We never fall foul of any of those. We can afford to have a dodgy season, but they just don't like to. And I think Salah earns that much more. I think 30% more than anybody else in the club. And I imagine Trent would justifiably want to be there or thereabouts. And like I said, it's justifiable for what he brings. And that could skew it. So maybe they're trying to sort of like figure out figures or faff about, which could be delaying it. But like you said, though, they've had time to do it. It's not like it's a surprise that his contract runs out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's probably the problem they've got, isn't it? Is that those three are the three biggest earners.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with one, you're dealing with three. And what happens with one impacts the other two, because that's where the funds are going to come from, isn't it? So to have all three at the same time is probably, and if you're sorting one out, then the other two might go, oh, hang on a minute, am I not the one?
But that's the other thing I don't get about Liverpool is, how do they not have the money? They have a 60,000-seater stadium. They're one of the biggest teams in the world. They have big sponsorships coming in. Like, how do they not have the money to pay for it? Like, that's the thing I don't get.
Well, I think my understanding is, and obviously I don't work accounts in Liverpool, so I'm not fully akin, but my understanding is, I know, that they asked, but I was busy. But I think my understanding is they can afford to go over, but they don't like to operate on that level. With some clubs, you can have like 3 years of goals over. They haven't had any, and they try to stay out of that consistently. And like Sam said, I think if they start with Van Dijk and give Van Dijk, increase him to a level, and then if they go for Trent and increase him to a level, it makes the contract easier with Salah at the end. Because I think if they bump up Van Dijk and Trent by a level, and do Salah first, and then the other guys are going, well, Jesus Christ, you're giving this guy like £400,000 a week, and you're offering us 150. That's a bit knocked off. Where I think if they do it the Van Dijk, then Trent, then Salah, fiscally it makes more sense. But what dickhead allowed you to be in a situation where you've got your three biggest earners with all of their contracts being renewed at the same time? And that's not my fingers pointing at you, FSG and Edwards and all of you people, but. It is what it is, but it was a lovely day of football, though. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm glad you all did. Hopefully, as well, that conversation has given us enough time for me to get this bad boy ready, because I'd forgot to upload it before the show. So look at that. Worked out beautifully. But yes, that is the league table. Those are all of the games that took place. The only ones that we didn't touch on was Everton, Ipswich Town. Well done, Everton. Sam was praising old Dwighty boy.
Oh, Dwight McNeil. Do you see the assist? The assist for the Michael Keane smash from close range. He's still twinkle toes, Dwight McNeil. I think he's 3 goals and 3 assists, and Everton has scored 9. So who knew? Dwight McNeil's the guy.
Can we also take a minute to recognise Alex Ferguson's eye for talent when Michael Keane and Danny Welbeck are scoring well into their 30s? Well, praise be. That's awesome.
There you are from Charlotte as well, him and Welbeck. And I tell you what, while we are just touching on, I will say, Ineos, shame on you for shitting on Alex Ferguson as well. By the way, for ending his ambassador contract.
Why are we paying? Why are we paying him £2 million?
Well, give him $1 million. Cut his salary. I don't think he's hard up for cash.
I don't think cutting him entirely was the right move. But if the argument is we can't justify paying a man £2 million to be an ambassador, when really all he does is turn up at games, really. And again, that's not me having a dig at the guy. That's just me stating.
We know which Pillock signed that contract off.
Well, yes, we know which Pillock signed that
Mr. Waterfall himself.
Yes.
Well, there's more money wasted, I think, in Man United than that. But I agree. But just drop this. I bet you any money if someone went, hey, Big Al, or Sir, or Saf, do us a favor, mate. This is a lot of dollar bills here. How about £1 million? How do you fancy that? I'm sure he would have been fine, but I just thought it was bad taste. Got a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm not even a United fan. Not even.
Are you not?
No,
thought
not
it was
really.
United shirt behind you. I've been told a lie.
No, well, no, not really, not really. But it was clear, by the way. She's coming to say hi before we finish. Charlotte did comment earlier about the beard game that's going on this evening, so you need to pull your socks up, old Jeffs, and try and get that one growing. Only other game we didn't touch on then, I do recall, was Newcastle 0, Brighton Hove Albion 1. Whoa, not looking fabulous at the moment for Eddie Howe. I mean, Grimace, is he on borrowed time?
No, I think he's fine. I mean, it's the past few results haven't been great. Obviously, they haven't won in 4, but I think one more win and they're back up into that top 5 and it'll be absolutely fine. I think they've just been lacking goals recently. I mean, Isak yesterday had 2 golden chances to put them ahead or equalise and didn't take one. Gordon had one in the second half. And yeah, it was just Newcastle just don't seem to have their shooting boots on at the minute. I just think they'll get one decent result and it'll probably end up being against United because that's how it goes for us at the minute. And they'll be back at the races again and everything will be hunky-dory. So yeah, I mean, they're top 8 at the minute and they've had a better start to the season than they did last year. As long as they don't have an injury crisis, I think they'll be absolutely fine.
And incidentally, it finished Nottingham.
Tottenham.
Do you know what? It's all the syllables that threw me.
It's
Nottingham Forest 1. Nottingham Forest 1 is 0 Crystal Palace, and Graham just poking fun because he's just a meanie, just mean to that Crystal Palace. And Claire thinks she's got a better beard than all of us. I'm not sure where she keeps it. It might be in a box that she brings up for special occasions, but I've not seen it. And that is the Premier League table. Liverpool are top, astride of the Premier League, 1 point ahead of Man City, only conceding 3 goals in 8 games, which is lovely to see. And then Arsenal now have 4 points behind first and 17, as are Aston Villa. And Brighton then in 5th on 15 points, and Chelsea, a resurgent Chelsea, who I'll be honest, I thought were in the bin. They don't seem to be in the bin. In 6th place on 14 points. And but I quite like Aston Villa and Brighton in the top 5, part of that top 6, ruffling the feathers. I do enjoy that. And then down at the bottom, Wolves, not having a good time. 1 point for Wolves, 1 point for Southampton, 3 for Crystal Palace. Oh, Crystal Palace struggling. They might be doing palacey things and maybe do us a favour. And finally, one of the most boring teams, and my bogey team will leave. What's up, Grimmy? You look like you're excited to say something.
I wasn't excited to say it, but I was just going to ask a question. Looking at that table, like, do you have a particular candidate who you think might lose their job first? Because I was thinking it was going to be, is it Russell Martin at Southampton? I thought it was going to be him with how many they concede and how badly they play at the minute. But then Sam pointed out that the owners have come out and said it's a long-term project with him. So do you have somebody that you think might be in a bit of danger at the minute? Or
I would say, particularly after tonight, and the looks on the fans of some of the Palace fans, Glasner might be in trouble. And so, like, when he come in, things look good. But Palace do this. They had this with Vieira. They had a good period. Then they drop. They always do this, and everyone goes, "Oh, relegation, Palace, make a manager change," and they finish 11th or something, and it's completely different. But that you just compare that squad to some of the other ones as well, and it's not whatever. It's just not clicking, is it? So I would say Glasner, and you've got to say Gary O'Neill. Wolves have had some really tough games, but they can't continue to faff about down there.
I think the run of games they've got between now and Christmas will keep Gary O'Neill there. I think that's what I think they've realized. They'll realize how bad it's been that start to the season. Lopetegui, if I've got that pronunciation right, West Ham. I can't give it the jazz that Josh does. But I think him at West Ham is certainly one to look out for, because I think if we get a good result against them, Sam, I don't want to curse it. I'm saying if, by all means necessary, if we get a win against them, I think that West Ham crowd could be quite hostile, I think, because they'll be thinking, what the hell's going on here? But serves you right to change it.
Let's not also forget our manager's probably still got some slightly charred bum cheeks as well at the minute. It's not going to take too long to start to heat that pie up again, is it? I think 1 win against
Yeah.
Brentford is only so that's another game you could see us going and getting done there, and then it's the other way around too. But I agree. I think Lopetegui is another one. It's just not working. It's just not defensively. They look a shambles, and they made some decent signings in the summer and have gone backwards. And that's I remember, Josh, we had this conversation, didn't we?
I thought they were going to do well. They made me look like a right dick.
We said,
I mean,
well,
most of this
we did
table
say
is
to them
making me
last
look the
season.
same, to be fair.
It could be. We did say at the end of last season, we're saying you might regret losing David Moyes. Losing David Moyes, you're going to get in a position where you might be thinking, we're going to try and go for more, and they're getting dragged in. And the squad that, again, you have to look at the squads, I think, and around the teams that they're at, West Ham should be higher. There's no doubt about it.
I agree, and I think, as we've said before, fans and clubs need to know who they are. You need to know who you are, where you sit in that pecking order, and just don't be silly. Don't be silly, and sometimes appreciate. You know what, David Moyes winning a European competition, getting you some of your highest finishes in a while, and not getting you in trouble. That's pretty good. That dips and troughs happen. Look at that. Just get a grip of yourself. So know who you are. You are not a top 6 side. You got to build, you lunatics. But that's the Premier League. Sam, have you caught any La Liga?
I haven't, but I have the BBC results up of the La Liga. You can also use other score-based websites, but this is the one that I have open because it has the scores as well. To be honest, I haven't as much this season because it's been pretty straightforward. It's Barcelona at the top and it's Real Madrid up there. That tends to be what happens. But Barcelona are, they're banging goals in again. And Robert Lewandowski.
I was going to say that. I was going to comment. How many goals has he scored, Sam? Have you seen?
He has got 12 goals so far. Just a few, with a shot accuracy of 55%, 1.34 goals per 90. So it's fair to say Robert Lewandowski's not having a bad season so far.
36. The man's 36.
He's just an absolute machine. He got 2, Pablo Torre got 2, Pedri got 1 as they destroyed Sevilla 5-1. Absolutely spanked Sevilla. You've got Atletico Madrid. They got a win this weekend as well, 3-1. And another old boy, and Antoine Griezmann scoring for Atletico as well. And Madrid had to fight a little bit this weekend, 2-1 at Celta Vigo. Of course, Kylian Mbappe on the score sheet and Vinicius Jr. as well. So Madrid doing the business. What else happened elsewhere? You've got a win for Mallorca, a win for Athletic Club, and Iñaki Williams with a double goal for them, and Real Betis with a win at Osasuna. But Valencia are the result. They lost today, didn't they? It was
apparently so. 3-2.
3-2, and it was despite a late. Yeah, they got a late goal back, but so they're in trouble. They are in trouble, sat in that relegation zone.
Like every season, though, isn't it? Every season they're in trouble.
It's either Valencia or Sevilla, or a combination of the two tend to faff around there at some point, don't they? And then get themselves out of it, but not good.
Sevilla's the weirdest one to me, though, because they were always up there. They were always top 7, like without a shadow of a doubt for a good 10 years. I mean, I know Emery was there for a good 8 of them, but just Sevilla and Valencia falling off the way they have is just remarkable.
Strange, and it's strange, but like Sam said, that's La Liga, isn't it, mate? It's like looking at the table, almost look at the table 10 years ago, almost,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Apart from Valencia, just Peter Ling just spoiling them, just spoiling them. It's just not fair. Over in Syria, none of us have really looked into anything really that's gone on here, apart from lots of 1-0s, lots of teams scoring 1 goal. Napoli, 1-0 to Napoli. Inter Milan, Roma, 1-0 to Inter Milan. Como, Parma, they both wanted to score, so they went for 1-1. AC Milan, Udinese, 1-0. Juventus, Lazio, 1-0. And as we said off cam, the only team that spoiled it was Fiorentina, that battered Charlotte's Lecce. Oh, the Lecce was switched off as Fiorentina won 6-0. And look at that. Charlotte's not happy. She's not happy. She feels let down by the players of Lecce. She's going to do one of them charges. Do you know, like, I can't remember what team was it. I was in France, wasn't it? You know, when the fans go on the pitch and give Lyon all that shit and abuse, it's going to be Charlotte. She's going to be on the flight over to Italy now, down to old Lecce. And she's going to give you what for, you bastard, for letting her
She's
down
not ill,
there.
really. She's on a flight to Italy.
She's on it. I tell you what, you boys are having it. Don't you have been fearing. I can't say Florentine didn't want to pay that energy bill. They didn't. They gave it all. They gave it all to Lecky there. But Napoli doing well again after a bit of a disastrous season last season. Up the top there, I think is that where Lukaku is at Napoli? I can't quite remember.
Conte,
McTominay.
yeah.
Scott.
To be honest, though, I'm one of these when they leave and everyone's like, "Oh, McTominay." If he won a Serie A title, I'd be absolutely delighted.
I would 100%. Like, there would be nothing that would please me more if he got Player of the Season for Napoli. Like,
I'm just looking at it in their midfield: Scott McTominay, Billy Gilmore.
Scotland's central midfielders are winning Napoli Serie A this year.
I tell you what, to be fair, that is a place to live, isn't it? If you're Scottish, and you've been having, and especially if you're Scottish and you've had to live in Manchester for the last couple of years, I'd be in Napoli all day long. What a life. Scott,
Sunny Manchester, what's wrong with that?
Well, yeah. And Charlotte's already set off. She's on the flight. She's watching on her phone now. She's going to be told to go into airplane mode in a moment. So we'll triumph through the best so you don't miss it, Char. The Bundesliga, unfortunately, but Bayern Munich have decided that they want to win it again this year with Harry Kane scoring a hat-trick. Harry Kane's still banging the goals in over in the Bundesliga. And I think we spoke the other week. He's quite an ambassador, actually. What's up, Grimmy?
I was going to say, I can already see it coming that Bayern are going to win the title this year, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, Vincent Kompany's a great manager. He got Burnley promoted, and then he's won the title at Bayern." And I'm like,
it's winning the title with Bayern,
Yeah.
You've a bad manager if you like just narrowly finish second.
Yeah.
I'm the same as you. I mean, and never losing. Who have lost this season. They've lost their first game. Everyone's allowed one. Even Spider-Man says everyone gets one. But they're still doing a lot of their sort of going behind and having to pull a game back. A lot of battling going on Leverkusen. I think Xavi might have been watching Klopp's Liverpool a bit too closely and maybe slow it down. But it's lovely that they've all got that determination to win. Old Bonyface, Victor Bonyface giving the victory there. What else happened in there? Anything else exciting? Borussia Mönchengladbach 3-2 against Heidenheim. With another standout game. But Leipzig winning 2-0 against Mainz. The irony of Red Bull with their new football director man, I can't remember his full, Jurgen Klopp, overseeing what's his title? Director of football operations, or some mad shit at Red Bull. Going to his old club Mainz and beating them 2-0. I bet that went down really well. I think Mainz fans were holding up banners saying something like, "Remember who you are, or remember where you come from." So, shit, Charlotte's telling me to hurry up. Okay, quick. At the top, it is Bayern Munich on 17 points on exactly the same points as Leipzig, and 2 points behind Freiburg, and 1 point behind is Leverkusen. On the same points as Union Berlin and Eintracht Frankfurt. 1 point behind and Dortmund on the same points, and 2 points behind Werder Bremen, and 2 points behind Heidenheim, and Stuttgart also on 9 points and on the same points. And Mönchengladbach back on 1 point behind his Mainz and 1 point behind his Wolfsburg. On the same points as Hoffenheim, and the same points as Augsburg, and 3 points behind our St. Pauli, 2 points behind our Holstein, the Beer Klein, and 1 point at the bottom is Bochum. And over in
terms and conditions
SPFL,
apply.
SPFL, Celtic didn't win a game of football. Oh my days, they drew one. They drew one against Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, I'm loving Aberdeen. That was the first time they hadn't won all season. So pleased they didn't get beat by Celtic, because that's a story and a half.
Did old Big Shanks, did he do anything? Because I haven't checked it out. Did Shanks do anything, Sam? Big Shanks.
He's still at Hearts, isn't he? We're having an absolute shocker at the moment.
4-0. They were 4-0. St. Mirren. He must have done. Come on, Sam.
He must have scored. Let's check. It must be time. Must be time for the shank.
Come on, because both Rebecca's teams did well. Aberdeen drew it and Dundee.
No. Is he injured? What's going on? Let's check the lineup. He was there? He scored 4 times. He didn't score. He got an assist, but
do you know what? Big Shanks. So it's like he's contributing though, but Charlotte's not happy. Big Shanks.
Big Shanks.
Double poop emoji. double poop, not just one, but two. And Treaty Saver Pecker's other favourite team winning. Yeah, she's got every league. She'll have somebody winning. And Charlotte's feeling happy. Charlotte's giving not just a boo Big Shanks double poo emoji, but then a boo, and then a boo. Mate, you've let it out. You've let it out. I'd feel bad. I'm just saying. And over at Everton, we did have Spenny fan Chris sent us over a banging goal. I think it was Hercules. Is it the Hercules?
It was Heracles, yeah, from the inside of his own half. Heracles. It was a great goal
as well.
It was a phenomenal goal from his inside of his box. I think the keeper should have saved it. I know I'm going to be depressing, but the keeper stopped. Should have knocked it out of the bar. Do your job, keeper. Do your job.
I agree. But beautiful technique, though.
It was beautiful technique.
Side-footed swipe. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on the BBC website. But what else is going on over here? Fortuna shit hard. They drew 0-0 against William. Wilhelm. Charlotte said, boo! The keeper was poo emoji in Hercules against Ajax. Ajax actually won 4-3. All of the other teams. Did we have anything else exciting? Feyenoord won 5-1 against Go Ahead Eagles and put in points on the board for the first time this season. Wowick drew with 20. Wowick, first point on the board, taking them 9 games and only 1 point. You're letting us down. Don't you dare get promoted because you're a pod favourite and you're one of the funniest names to say. That and of course NEC Nijmegen won 3-0 against Irvine. Sam knows how to say that one properly, didn't you? NEC Nijmegen.
Isn't it Nijmegen? That's probably not. I'm probably.
Have a go.
It might be closer, but it's probably not right.
You're all right.
And PSV Eindhoven still winning, unbeaten still, 9 games, unbeaten, 9 games, 29 goals. Have you seen that, Grimmy? 29 goals in 9 games.
It's almost like they were coached by a United legend the previous seasons and learn how to score again.
Well, with Luke de Jong up front, mate, how can they not be banging in the goals?
True.
Obviously. And so PSV at top. Utrecht, the Juventus tracked, are second. Ajax are in 3rd position. Feyenoord are in 4th. And then Achmed are in 5th. Twente are in 6th position. Go ahead, Eagles. Go ahead. They're in 7th. William is in 8th. And NAC. NAC. It's not even German. They don't even sound remotely German over in Holland. But they're in 9th. Sparta Rotterdam or anywhere, Liverpool or Rome are intense. You're fortunate to shit hard if you've eaten the right food, if you got your rubbish in. They're in 11th place. And NEC are in 12th. Groningen 30th position. Hercules 14th. 15th. Peck's what? Isn't that like one of them toys you used to have? Pez.
It sounds like you're saying Peck swole there.
My pecs are swollen. I have been working out again, so my pecs are swollen. In 15th, Irvine in 16th, I'm in 17th, and disappointing us all. Walwick in bottom position. And Charlotte's unhappy with Walwick as well.
This is why you joined, Grimmy, wasn't it, for our top-level European coverage?
Pronunciations.
Sounds that went.
I tell you what, you don't get European coverage like this. And then, lastly, but not least, the league that PSG spoiled by just laundering money. And I'm not accusing anyone of laundering money. It's just bitter expressionism. Allegedly, yes. They're doing. I can say anything then. Don't I? Who allegedly using this just to boost the profile of their corrupt countries abroad, just destroying Ligue 1. However, Monaco are fighting the good fight. Fighting the good fight. Monaco are on 20 points. Joint with PSG at the top, and that's the thing. We're nearly at the time. I mean, Grimmy, last season, what we normally do, we cut PSG off, so the league starts with 2nd position. But Monaco are fighting the good fight, and I don't want to do them a disservice at the moment.
I'm lost yet.
Exactly. So they're keeping it up there. So as long as they're keeping it, Marseille's only lost 1, so it's quite tight. And top 3 is keeping quite tight.
Yeah, I prefer Marseille not to be involved, but you can't have everything.
Well, I just want someone to challenge PSG. That's all I want.
They are collecting quite a collaboration of shitbags, should we say? So they may even be behind PSG in the likability factor if they win.
Yeah. That is true. Them and Fabrizio, to be fair, not doing themselves any favors, are they? Really? No. But Monaco are fighting the good fight, and that's who we want. That's who we want to do well. Montpellier on the bottom, Angers in 17th, and Le Havre in 16th. Did you like that one? Then any other team? What other team names you like to say, or should we just go through the whole league?
I mean, if you don't point out number 11, I don't know what we're doing here, Josh.
Well, Brest in the middle. You got Brest slap bang in the middle there of the league. And who else have we got? Do you know the LOSC? I always forget who that is. I get that's Olympic Lille and Lyon. I always get confused, and I can never remember who they are. But they're in fourth. Lille are in fourth.
That's
Lens
nice
are in
of
fifth.
You.
What was it that Rennies? No, it's Rems. Rems.
It was Claire when they called them Rennies.
Too much. There's too much to lose.
Reims. Reims are in sixth. Reims. I've been watching The Office. Reims in sixth. Lyon are in seventh. It's ninth in eighth. Nantes are in ninth. Strasbourg 10th. Brest in the middle and 11th. Auxerre. Who are they? That's Oxo. They're not what you put in your gravy. Oh, right. Oh, shit. Right. And then, I'm thinking Oxo. That's what I was thinking of. European, the finest European coverage. And Rennie.
Oxo
Auxerre. Rennie's in 13th. St. Etienne 14th. So much to lose in 15th. Le Havre, Angers, Montpellier. And Spenny fan Chris is telling us in Bordeaux, Andy Carroll got the winning goal for Bordeaux. He's loving life. Well done, Andy Carroll. And I'm not going to read this out loud because I'm not going to lower the tone. I'm not going to lower the tone, Graham. That's not what we're about here. Yeah, I don't get this one. Latou's, but more.
Because they've lost 4 times, you see. Very good.
That's a great thought. Auxerre was a cable you plugged in the back of your TV.
Graham, we were on the same wavelength there because I thought that myself, but then he made the gravy thing, so I couldn't.
I tell you what, what a podcast, what European coverage. This is why we were multi-award nominated for coverage like that. If people need more, Sam, where can they find you?
You can find me, provided my ceiling hasn't caved in, you can probably find me on Twitter at SamAbsolute FBL. I'm TikTok now and again on that one, and on YouTube sometimes doing bits, but plenty of stuff coming on the podcast, which is very exciting. And I can tease something. Something big is coming, because I can tell you that the group chat has been popping off while we've been on. So something big is coming. I won't announce it. It's going to be announced at some point once we convene, but something big is coming.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got more than one group. We've got more
than
many
group chats, Grimmy. There's many group chats.
So there's a group chat I'm not in. I'm not allowed to be in it. Okay.
There's many groups I need to have on, but I wonder if it's one that I might not even be in it, Grimace.
No, I don't even. It's the one you're not. You're not even in. It's the one you chose not to be in. It's your own fault, you see. I'll have to tell you afterwards.
Yeah,
At least you chose not to be in it instead of not getting an invite. There's a difference there, Josh.
The problem is, Grimmy, to get an invite into this one, Man United would probably have to get relegated. So I'd rather you stayed out of it.
Yeah, we can't deal with
Could
that.
make things interesting.
There's too much. There's too much. Charlotte's giving the look at that.
There you go.
It's her group. She can do what she wants. It's her group. She does what she wants. But Grimace, if people do want more of you, where are you?
I mean, God help them if they do. But you can find me on Twitter under Grimmy16. I'm on YouTube on Saint Grimmy. And that's about it, really. One thing I would like to do before we go is just give a shout out to the Blythe Spartans youth team who got through to the first round of the Youth FA Cup proper by knocking out none other than Rochdale's youth team on penalties. So suck it, Char.
There you go. I'll have to retract that. We can't have that.
Be waiting for that one.
I'm not saying that you're definitely not getting that group chat now, mate. No. Or you might be just to be abused and then they get booted out again. You'll join in and they'll be like, right then, you You'll get there, sausage thumbs and everything.
Hashtag Grimmy out has just appeared on the.
Only that.
It's trending.
My ears are burning already.
And Grimmy _60. And I always wonder if that's because you set your Twitter account up when you were 16. Jesus Christ, I didn't know Twitter was that old.
No, I was because no, don't think so.
No, I
try to think so because when I was 16, it would have been 2008, and Twitter may well have been around then.
Nah, you're older than that, mate. Don't you Billy bullshit me, my friend.
No, I'm definitely not older than that, Josh.
But the important... Oh, God, you all make me feel so old. Right. Anyway, so on that depressing note, follow the podcast, people. If you're on Twitter, it is at Absolute Ball Pod. And on the YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, it's free. Just do it. Do you know what? It's such a good feeling. Every time you hit subscribe and your life just becomes better. Everything, your smiles are bigger, the sky is sunnier, the sun shines brighter, everything's warmer. Things that you want to be bigger are bigger. Things that you need to be smaller are smaller.
Liverpool lose a game.
Nah, that doesn't. Sorry, we can't give you that. But everything, it's just wonderful. There's so much wonderful stuff that can happen. If you don't believe me, give it a try. If I'm wrong, what have you lost? Nothing. So just do it. Do it. And if you follow TikTok, all over the TikTok boom at Absolute Ball Pod, Instagram Absolute Football Podcast _ as it is on Threads, and the Absolute Football Podcast on Facebook. On Mondays, we do cover the Premier League. We sort of cover European football as well. We give that a will, but we just say funny words in weird accents that are not appropriate to the country that we are talking about. But that is here on Mondays at 8:30. Hashtag Team Chaos if you love women's football or you want to learn about women's football or just enjoy football in general. That is a show for you. They shall educate you. The award-nominated Best in Women's Content, the Football Content Awards. They are on Wednesdays at 8:30. And on Thursday, Charlotte's Rowdy Wabble, covering all English male football from the Premier League. From Premier League's a cut-off, Championship, everything. They go deep. On a Thursday, they go deep. Oh, they go
not
deep.
And they go deep. Premier League, though.
Do you know what? Say it to Charlotte, mention it. You never know, because she's always up on that team. They're up for going deeper with the Rowdy Wabble Thursdays 8:30. So join them, and you shall absolutely love it. But thank you everybody for joining us. Wow, what a long show for a Monday. Sweet baby Jane and all the orphans. So
good Lord, right?
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Just remember, God loves you, Jesus loves you, Sam loves you, Grimmy loves you. Walk the walk, talk the talk, and a spork is a spork. TTFN and ta-ta for now.